Hey friends, Drew here, and just wanted to give you guys an update on how I'm doing. Probably about 4 months ago, I posted on Facebook just kind of my journey and the challenges I had been facing. I probably about 13 years ago, for the first time, I faced a mental health episode that was really dark, and it's where kind of my brain crashes, and it's like my brain no longer works. I lose my mind, in a sense, to where just the dots aren't connecting. Lots of memory loss. Really, it feels like Drew has left the building, and what I know or what I knew, I no longer know. Kind of my existence during that time, I describe it as like I feel like I'm literally a 4-year-old that's in a foreign country and doesn't speak the language. Like that's my experience, that's my existence 24/7 when this happens. And then just tons of fear comes in, doubt, anxiety, depression. And for me, I've had about 5 to 6 episodes over the last 13 years, and they last between 6 months to a year, up until this last year and a half, which, as I shared 4 months ago, I was about over a year into this latest episode, and I couldn't, I didn't think it could get any darker or any more hopeless than it was the last several times before that, but this was just another level of cognitive dysfunction, another level of fear and anxiety and depression, and I was just in a really dark place, and kind of had lost hope. And So many of you've walked through this with me before. That's not new. But as I posted like 4 or 5 months ago, I just got through a sabbatical. So I took a sabbatical, a 6-month sabbatical from my role as pastor of Headway Church, and I really was just seeking healing and clarity, and honestly wasn't sure what the future held. And thank you to Headway Church, who's just loved me and my family through all of this. They're just amazing. But so kind of went on a sabbatical, and had been doing lots of things, the year prior or the year up to that, spiritually, emotionally, chemically, circumstantially, like to, make some progress or for this to change. Now, how it works for me, I know everybody's different, but for me, my brain kind of crashes. It's like the lights go out. It's like a switch in a matter of a couple days. Like I go, Drew isn't, is in the building, and then he leaves. And it's pretty clear when it happens. And then the last 5 times, the lights just come on one day. It's like they're off for several months, and then within a matter of 24 hours, they come back on, and Drew's back, and there's hope, and my brain works again, and it's just this really strange thing. But I don't know when that's coming. Like I'm doing all this work, and it's like it's for nothing. There's no evidence that I'm making progress, and it just seems like it's permanent. And especially this last time, it was 17 months, and hopeless. Like the sabbatical, actually, I got worse because it wasn't that I needed rest. I did, but in the end, it was Drew was with Drew a lot during the sabbatical, and I didn't isolate. I was with a lot of different people, but in the end, my mind just ruminating 24/7, and a lot of Drew shaming Drew, and just negative thinking, and I was just caught in the vicious cycle. And to be honest, it was really dark. It just let me know that like this is really a disorder. Like there was nothing I could do, it seemed, to change things. It was like out of my control. My mind had a mind of its own. It was like I couldn't think clearly or positively, and it just I was stuck in such a negative, hopeless place. And it's kind of, there was no reason for it. Like life is hard for sure. but like I've got the most amazing wife and children, family that loves me, friends that love me at church, family that loves me, people in my community love me, so many people thinking about me, praying for me. It, you know, it just was this thing that is just I'm dealing with, and it's like this disorder that just comes on me, and for months, and again this time for a year and a half, was something that I just couldn't get out of, and not for lack of taking so many steps. But I wanted to share that literally 3 weeks ago, the lights came back on. And again, it's so strange. I almost didn't believe it. Even today, it's still getting used to Drew being back and my brain working. But yeah, literally kind of a few weeks before coming back to my role with Headway. So my sabbatical was ending, and I had made a decision that even though I felt like there was nothing I could do, like I was unable to do my role and function, that I was going to just trust God that His grace is sufficient and that His power is made perfect in my weakness, and that, you know, He still exists. He still is with me, and He cares, and He could even use me. And so I was just kind of facing my fear, and I didn't know what the future held much longer beyond that, but I had kind of made the decision in our church welcoming me back. Then just a few days later, kind of the lights came on, and I think it's a combination of things that led to that, just lots of little things that I had been doing to, you know, from medication to therapy to just prayer to, you know, staying connected to my family and my community and people that cared. And it seemed like none of that was making a difference. And again, I'm not quite sure what really makes the difference because I haven't figured this out. But again, the lights came back on, and I'm just so thankful for that, because it was dark, and I know so many of us are suffering with mental health, and for each of us it's differently. This went to another level for me, and again, I couldn't imagine it getting darker than it had been the previous times. But for me, it had gotten to the point where, I mean, I wanted to die. I mean, the pain was so great that, and almost unbearable, that it's like, I don't know how I can keep going, you know. And it was literally just see if I can hold on another day, another hour. And I didn't think of, you know, taking my own life. But you know, I didn't ideate that or make plans to take my own life, but I was hoping somebody else was planning to take my life. And I joke, but it's no joke. Like, just, I would have welcomed, you know, someone taking me out. And again, it's scary to think even now that we can get to that place. But it just shows how, you know, just it can be such a disorder and disease, and how we can get to that place where we would consider that. And I get it. You know, I get it. It was that painful and that dark to where, you know, I didn't want to live anymore. So I'm just so thankful that I'm still here, that I still get to pastor Headway Church, and I'm, you know, get to connect with all of you guys. But I just wanted to give you guys an update. I mean, thank you so much for your thoughts and your prayers and for being a friend. It means so much, and I believe made a difference. And I know so many are suffering. I mean, and many are suffering in silence. And I just, want to encourage you, if you're dealing with depression or anxiety or mental health challenges in any way, like just hold on, hang on just take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time if you need to. But you are so loved. I mean, you're loved by so many people in your life. God loves you. I love you. And if maybe someone's even watching this that I don't know, like if I met you, I know I'd love you. You're a lovable person, but just you're loved. And just to know that, believe that, it's the truth. And I know at times it just feels like it's not. And I know I had to choose to believe things that I didn't believe in that moment. It just seemed like there was no evidence of that. I had to believe that things were true that didn't feel true. Things about me and life and God and so just know that you're loved. And I would say share, please, if you're suffering in silence, share with someone who loves you, someone you love, what you're going through, what you're dealing with, how you're feeling, that you're suffering, and on what level you're suffering. And then I would encourage you to get some help. Take a step even today or this week. If you're not already, call a therapist, call a doctor, call a friend, sign up for a group, get some medication that might help. Even maybe, just get alone and cry out to God. Again, I believe, I know for me, this whole 17 months, it felt like God was absent. And I had to believe that he wasn't, that he was still with me and he cared. And ultimately there would be some purpose in this pain. And I believed that, but it was hard to believe for the last year and a half. So just get some help. And I just want to give you some hope today that there's another side, and just keep walking through that valley. I know you're in the pit of despair right now, but there's hope for the future, that you're going to get better. And sometimes when you are hopeless, you need to just borrow somebody's hope. So borrow some of mine today. I know I had to borrow some people's hope the last year and a half. But just know that you're not alone. And it's a real thing, man. I mean, the last 12 years of my life, 4 or 5 years of that have been in this state. And it's just something that I'm probably going to have to deal with the rest of my life. And I'm learning each time I go through it. And I hope that I have more hope in the future because I've been through it. And so again, if you're in it for the first time, or maybe it's like me where it's been 5 or 6 times, and so your hope is lost because you're like, this again, I don't know that I can do it. You can do it. Just hang on, reach out, and know that you're loved. So thank you guys again. My sabbatical ended this week, so I'm kind of resurfacing in many ways, and I just look forward to connecting with each of you. Again, if you are struggling, know that you can reach out to me. I can be somebody that listens and just lets you know that you're loved, and just know that you're not alone. So thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing you soon.